시작하고 Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dengan izin, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Malaysian National Anthem and USM's Menara Ilmu.
Universiti Sains Malaysia, menara ilmu tercinta, jadi tumpuan antara bangsa untuk segala cita-cita. Berinovasi, berteknologi, berwawasan, berkualiti. Biar usaha kami bersemi, hasratnya lah berseri. Universiti Sains Malaysia, menara ilmu tercinta, jadi tumpuan antara bangsa untuk segala cita-cita.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. And now, let us watch the USM branding video.
Today, at the dawn of a new day, 1 in 5 live on less than $1 a day, where clean water is scarce, where healthcare is limited, where even one meal is hard to find, a brighter future can seem an impossible dream. But we can make a difference to the things that matter. Today, I will make a difference. Today, I will nurture them. Today, I will transform them in their everyday, every song, every life, every dream, and every seed of hope. For them, their children, and their children's children. A brighter tomorrow awaits. Through the power of our commitment, today, we will make a difference.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to Dr. Lim Hyun Mook, Director of the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Seoul, Korea. Professor Dr. Hairul Nizam Ismail, the Dean of the School of Educational Studies, Universiti Sains, Malaysia. Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaakob, Director of the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center at Universiti Sains, Malaysia. Mr. Said bin Hussein, Deputy Director, School Management Sector, representing the Director of Penang State Education Department. Honorable School Headmasters, GCC-USM members, and respected lecturers and staffs of the School of Educational Studies. A very warm welcome to our distinguished guests to the launching of the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center at Universiti Sains Malaysia, or known as GCC-USM. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's ceremony, I would like to call upon Dr. Muhammad Zuhai Zainal to recite the dua to ask for the divine's blessings.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, good morning. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana ولوالدينا ولمعلمينا ولجميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. O Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, please forgive us all our sins and lead us to the straight path as you will. O Allah, bless the launching ceremony of the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center, Universiti Sains, Malaysia. O Allah, hopefully the establishment of the center will strengthen the cooperation between Universiti Sains, Malaysia and the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding. O Allah, may the establishment of the center further invigorate global citizenship education in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. O Allah, accept our praise, grant us success in this world and in hereafter. اللهم اجعل جمعنا جمعا مرهوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Dr. Zuhair. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to invite Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaakob, the Director of GCC-USM, to convey her welcoming remarks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very warm welcome. Dr. Lim Hyun Mook, Director, Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Seoul, Korea. And my beloved friend, Ms. Lee Yang-suk, who is also with us. I can see that you are in the channel. Okay, Professor Dr. Harul Nizam, Dean, School of Educational Studies, University Sains, Malaysia. Associate Professor, thank you. Tuan Syed bin Hussein, Deputy Director, School Management Sector, Penang State Education Department, School Headmasters, teachers, and my dear colleagues and friends. Let me begin my speech with a story. A very heartwarming story. I began my relationship with citizenship education in the year 2003, when our former dean nominated me as a delegate representing USM and also representing Malaysia to a 3-week study trip to the Center of Civic Education in Calabasas, California. Apart from attending lectures, we were given the opportunity to visit the Capitol and meet the House representatives and learn about the government and governance in the United States. During that period, we were trained to be trainers for Project Citizen, a flagship of the center. As a certified trainer, Project Citizen has kept me very, very busy conducting training for teachers and students in Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Pakistan, and of course, all over Malaysia under the Malaysian Citizenship Initiative based in USM. In 2006, I was invited by the Center for Civic Education USA to learn more about civic education in a 1-month course conducted at Loyola Marymount University, Los Angeles. It was a tough program that sometimes I felt like I was doing another PhD. We have to stay very late at night reading articles and act from the Constitution in the United States, and also law cases for us to make decisions. Okay, and of course, even though it was tough, it has taught me a lot of critical thinking skills and making decisions. Nonetheless, okay, it further enhanced my knowledge and understanding about civic and citizenship education. This was when my introduction to global citizenship education happened during my stay in London when I was on sabbatical in 2006. I enrolled in a 1-day workshop organized by Oxfam. It was not intentional, as I only walked into their office to learn more about Oxfam activities. Fast forward, me and my team has conducted a research on civic education, and this research actually has brought us to Bangkok in 2009 for a seminar organized by UNESCO. That was when my colleague Nolida and I met Miss Jongmin Om and Anna from UPSEU, who happened to be there as well. That was the first time we heard about the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding. Again, fast forward, I applied and I was given the opportunity to attend the Asia Pacific Training Workshop later that year. Our working relationship was further strengthened when USM and UPSEU signed an MOU in 2010. Since then, UPSEU has always offered various opportunities for me and our academics to explore education for international understanding. Well, the rest are history. And today, our relationship is reaffirmed with this collaboration. For the second time, USM and UPSEU have signed the MOU to establish a global citizenship education cooperation center at USM. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of USM, the associates and staffs, I would like to extend our gratitude and appreciation to UPSEU for trusting us at USM to run a global citizenship center at USM, which in future will be a hub for promoting GCED, Global Citizenship Education, based on the context and needs of Southeast Asian countries. The establishment of Global Citizenship Cooperation Center in this region actually is timely, as it is in line with the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, CMIO, which recommends global citizenship education to be incorporated in its 7 Priority Agenda 2015-2035. Global citizenship education has rapidly emerged as a priority education agenda in Southeast Asian countries. The need for global citizenship education has been further heightened due to the widespread discrimination, stigma, and disinfodemic since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. GCC at USM has identified 9 main activities that will be actively running beginning next year. It includes thinking GCET, talking GCET, sharing GCET, working GCET, cataloging GCET, adopting GCET, spreading GCET, researching GCET, and not forgetting celebrating GCET. A lot of GCETs that later we will come to know more about these 9 pillars that we have planned GCC at USM. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been very busy these past few weeks with meetings and discussions on how to determine GCC at USM's direction for the next 5 years. It may sound a long time, but believe me, when we are busy doing things that we love and have passion in, time will fly unnoticed. We have proven this in these last several weeks when we have successfully conducted a series of workshops, including a refresher course for us to refresh and realign our thinking and expertise to fit into the GCED framework. Apart from that, we have conducted 3 online workshops for pre-service teachers and 1 in-service teacher training workshop at a nearby hotel. We managed to develop learning videos on GCED, which will be uploaded in the website and can be used by all teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment that GCC at USM will work hard in happy mood to lead in the practice and spread of GCED locally and regionally by focusing on expanding customized teacher training, improving teacher professionalism, and stimulating GCED cooperation. We strongly believe that we could achieve anything when we work together. So let us join our hands together and make this GCC at USM a success. I believe we have many schools headmasters with us today, and we welcome any suggestions and collaborations. Finally, once again, thank you, APSEU. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani, for the welcoming remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, and now, with great pleasure, I would like to call upon the esteemed Professor Dr. Hairul Nizam Ismail, Dean of the School of Educational Studies, USM, to deliver his address. Please, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very good morning. Dr. Lim Hyun Mook, Director, Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Seoul, Korea. Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaakob, Director, Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center, Universiti Sains, Malaysia. Mr. Said bin Hussein, Deputy Director, School Management Sector, Penang State Education Department. And ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be here on the occasion of official launching ceremony of the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center at Universiti Sains Malaysia, also known as GCC at USM, initiated and funded by Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, APSEU, Seoul, Korea. I would like to first of all thank Professor Datuk Dr. Faisal Rafiq Muhammad Adikan, Vice Chancellor, Universiti Sains Malaysia, for his willingness to address our ceremony today. Later on, we also appreciate the support provided by the top management of the university in the process leading to the establishment of the center. I would like to commend the presence of Dr. Lim Hyun Mook, Director, Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Seoul, Korea, staff of APSEU, guests of honor, academic and non-academic, staff of School of Educational Studies, USM, teachers, principals, and students to this ceremony. On behalf of the School of Educational Studies, I greatly honor this opportunity and the trust that APSEU has given School of Educational Studies in appointing us to set up this center and in funding the GCC-USM to become its regional hub for the Global Citizenship Education GCED in Malaysia. My heartfelt congratulations also goes to the committee member of GCC-USM, headed by Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaakob, who had worked hard to establish the foundation of GCC-USM in the last 2 months, respectively. It is interesting to note that most of the committee members of GCC at USM are APSEU alumni who had attended the Asia Pacific Training Workshop on Education for International Understanding Program in Seoul, South Korea. Thus, I personally believe that this committee will continue its efforts to make GCC at USM an impact as a regional hub for global citizenship education, GCED. Finally, I would like to thank all our national partners, namely Universiti Putra Malaysia UPM, Institute of Teacher Education, both Penang and Kedah State Education Departments, who have already shown good cooperation and collaboration in the related activities and program organized by GCC at USM. I fully support the GCC at USM program set up by APSEU, which will undoubtedly have a positive impact on the global citizenship education of our youth in Malaysia in particular and in Southeast Asia in general. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by again thanking APSEU Korea for this great initiative. I encourage all parties involved to continue to support us to make GCC at USM an excellent hub in disseminating GCED in this region. This will give birth to global citizen individuals who would wisely manage the future of our world. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Hairul, for the speech. And now, with great honor, I would like to invite Dr. Lim Hyun Mok, Director of the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Seoul, Korea, to deliver his address live from Seoul.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. Greetings from Seoul, Korea. Professor Hairul Nizam Ismail, Dean of School of Educational Studies, University Sains, Malaysia. Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaqub, Director of GCC at USM. Distinguished participants and dear colleagues and friends, it is my great pleasure to congratulate you all on the launching of the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center, GCC, at Universiti Sains Malaysia, and celebrate this important moment together with you today. I would first like to extend our enormous thanks to the faculty members of the School of Educational Studies at USM, especially Professor Rohizani Yaqub, Director of GCC Center, for your special effort and commitment for establishing this center, despite all the difficulties and obstacles of the pandemic. As we are all aware, the importance of global citizenship education, GCED, has become much greater in these times of global crisis. But we have huge challenges when it comes to the implementation of GCED. One of those challenges is to develop and strengthen the capacity of teachers for implementing GCED in their classroom. It is clear GCED is not possible as long as teachers are not familiar with the concept and methodologies for inspiring their students with global citizenship. As a UNESCO's specialized center for GCED, APSEU, Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, has so far contributed to capacity building for educators of the region by inviting some of them to Korea, including educators from USM and other relevant institutions in Malaysia. Certainly, this has been very effective in disseminating the idea of GCED and helping educators put it into practice in their local context. However, as I pointed out, we need an innovative approach in these times of multiple crises. So you have come up with this new initiative to contribute to strengthening institutional capacities of the selected teacher training and education institutions in Southeast Asian countries. by designating them as GCED Cooperation Centers, GCC. We expect these GCED Cooperation Centers to serve as a focal point to strengthen their respective national GCED capacity by performing the following functions. Firstly, the designing and implementation of GCED teacher training programs tailored to local needs and context. Secondly, development and dissemination of teaching and learning materials to support the teachers in practicing GCED. Thirdly, conducting research to develop training programs and materials for GCED. And lastly, sharing of information and materials and networking with GCED relevant institutions and stakeholders in their countries and also with neighboring countries. APSEI will do its best to support the GCC in fulfilling these four functions. USM is the first GCC in Malaysia, and APSEI is honored and delighted to work together with USM, one of the most prestigious universities in Southeast Asia and beyond. We believe that through the various activities that will be successfully implemented by GCC at USM, we can make a crucial contribution to GCED in the region. And this new initiative will also provide a fresh momentum for educational cooperation in the region. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Faisal Rafiq Muhammad Adi Khan for his support on this initiative. My deep appreciation goes to Professor Rohizani and her team for all their hard work and passion for GCED, and particularly for the organization of today's webinar. I thank you all for your participation and contribution, and look forward to our constructive collaboration in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the Vice Chancellor of USM, Professor Dr. Faisal Rafiq Muhammad Adi Khan, could not be here with us today due to prior engagements. However, he has sent a special video message for all of us to officially launch GCC-USM. Let us listen to his speech and followed by a video montage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera to all. Mr. Lim Hyun Mook, Director, Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, Seoul, Korea. Professor Dr. Hairul Nizam Ismail, Dean, School of Educational Studies. Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaakob, Director, GCC-USM. First and foremost, I am honored to be given the opportunity to be involved in the launching of the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center at the Universiti Sains, Malaysia, or shortly called GCC-USM. On behalf of the university, we greatly honor this opportunity and the trust that UPSEU has given in appointing us to become its regional hub for global citizenship education, GCED, in Malaysia. USM is aware that UNESCO has been promoting global citizenship education since the launch of the UN Secretary General's Global Education First initiative back in 2012, and fostering global citizenship is one of its priorities. Since 2012, there is a growing interest in global citizenship, which resulted in increased attention in the global dimension in citizenship education as well. Global citizenship education has various implications in policy, curricula, teaching and learning, and as such, it should be emphasized throughout the education system involving policy, curriculum, teacher education, student assessment, and so on. I believe the MOU that USM and UPSEU have signed is a proof of our seriousness in upholding the UNESCO agenda in promoting global citizenship education, with the GCC-USM placed under the rightful wing of the School of Educational Studies, I am confident that it is very fitting as the school trains the teachers of tomorrow. USM strongly believes that the exposure given to the participating teachers at the international level will equip them with the necessary educational skills to infuse their new knowledge into different local social settings. When teachers see things in the broader perspective, it will spearhead their way of thinking and enhance their engagement with the society. Programs such as Global Citizenship Education is a valuable catalyst in propelling educational professionals in becoming borderless. This way, teachers and educators are not only exposed to their local teaching environment, instead they are made aware of the ups and downs of teachings in other parts of the world. Hence, with open arms, we welcome the collaboration with APSU in setting up the Global Citizenship Education Cooperation Center GCC-USM here in USM. And with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hereby officially launch the GCC-USM Center. Thank you.
GCC-USM is established by the funding from the Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, also known as APSU, under the auspices of UNESCO. The aim of this center is to respond to the growing needs for global citizenship education, in short, GCED, in the region. GCC-USM seeks to strengthen the integration of GCED in the training of pre-service teachers in teacher education institutions and in-service teachers in Southeast Asian countries. GCC-USM aspires to serve as a pivotal hub to practice and spread GCED at the nation and sub-regional levels by undertaking the following initiatives. Firstly, planning and coordinating training in GCED tailored and localized to meet teachers' needs. Second, developing and disseminating materials to encourage the implementation of GCED. Third, conducting quality research on the employment of GCED. Fourth, accumulating and sharing information and materials to proliferate GCED. Fifth, establishing collaborative networks amongst GCED relevant institutions and stakeholders. GCC at USM, since its brief inception, has organized a few online trainings to disseminate GCED to USM's undergraduate education students on how to incorporate the GCED knowledge, values, and skills into their lessons. Realizing the importance of teachers as catalysts for change to educate their students to become global citizens, a workshop for 20 Bahasa Melayu and English primary school teachers was held for 3 days to share the ideas on ways to integrate GCED in their classrooms. GCC at USM Associates also participated in the Forum on GCED organized by Universiti Putra Malaysia in Putrajaya in order to demonstrate support for efforts shown by other collaborative institutions. All these efforts are initiatives taken by GCC at USM to truly become the hub for global citizenship education in Malaysia and Southeast Asia, embracing interconnectedness for a better tomorrow.
And now, to express our utmost gratitude, it is our great honor to invite Associate Professor Dr. Rohizani Yaakob, Director of GCC at USM, to present a token of appreciation to Professor Dr. Hairul Nizam, the Dean of the School of Educational Studies. Thank you. We now invite Mr. Said bin Hussein to receive a token of appreciation on behalf of Penang Education State Department. Thank you.
Respected guests, we have now come to the end of our event. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to express our deepest appreciations for sharing this momentous occasion with us. To Dr. Lim Hyun Mok, Director of APSIU and staff, thank you for being with us today, and we hope for a fruitful collaboration in the years to come. We will now capture this special occasion by taking a group photo. Please come forward. Tak pernah kita tak gambar dengan dia sekali. Tak gambar. Tak gambar dengan dia sekali. Tak gambar kat sini kan? Tak. Tak. Duduk berdiri kat situ tu. Oh, maksudnya kita tak ambil dengan ni. So, saya ambil gambar 39 tu. Semua tak. Jangan nak kamera je. Saya lupa nak ambil gambar je. Tak ambil. Lupa. Tak apa ni tak ingat. Aslam. Okay. From Korea, please get ready. We're going to take the photo now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. Freestyle. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you have just one more shot?
Yes?
지금은 좀 생각해.
Can you have one more shot, please?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Sorry.
We
Listen.
love photos.
Do you want to be more prepared?
All right. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
저거 하트 하고 있는데 저쪽에서.
Okay, one more time with the freestyle.
Freestyle.
Smile. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
From Korea. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Terima kasih.
Bye.
Sama-sama.
Terima kasih.
Bye.
All guests are now cordially invited to have lunch at the coffee house at the lobby.